four. Lucky four.
In the early hours of March 2nd, 2025, 19-year-old Devonye Cummings, a mother of four, was found dead in her bedroom, just days after giving birth to twin daughters. Only 11 days prior, she had embraced the joy of new motherhood, but that happiness was shattered when she was tragically shot in the neck inside the home she shared with the man she trusted most. But what made it even more chilling, her killer didn't call 911. Instead, Terrence Miles, the father of her twins, the man she trusted, called his own mother, asking for help. What led to such a devastating outcome? Why did Terrence turn on the mother of his children in the most horrific way possible? This is the heart-breaking case of Devonye Cummings.
When the song come on, let me see you get gone. Baby mama, this your song. Been pregnant for way too long. Now tell the DJ turn it on.
If she a baby mama,
Go ahead.
she gon' do that baby mama.
Work.
19-year-old Devonye Cummings, affectionately known as Yaya by her loved ones, was born on January 10, 2006, and grew up in Oakland, California. She lived in a small community where she was well known and deeply loved by many. Devonye was full of dreams, loves, and hope for the future. Her life revolved around her family and the people close to her. Those who knew and loved her described her as the life of the party, radiating undeniable energy.
I
got a Glocky in my pocket, I ain't trying to fight shit.
She could dance like there was no tomorrow. Yet she was also thoughtful, caring, and full of light. These qualities often shone through in her social media posts, where she shared joyful videos and pictures. It was no secret that Devonye was messy, loud, and sometimes reckless. But she was also fun, sweet, loyal, and above all, relentlessly trying to find her place in a world that never bothered to give her a map. Her story was one of resilience, filled with unexpected challenges and heartbreaking moments. Through it all, she kept searching for something better, holding on to hope that one day things would change, even when the odds seemed stacked against her. From a young age, she was forced to grow up quickly. Her father was in prison, her brother was incarcerated too, and her mother was always behind bars. She would share posts with captions like "Free my daddy," "Free my mama," and "Free my brother," which appeared regularly as a digital cry for a family that circumstances had taken from her. Devonye wasn't eased into adulthood. She was catapulted into it. She had to learn how to be an adult and fast. Despite these hardships, she held on to a joyful and vibrant spirit, one that brought happiness to those around her. She was searching for connection, stability, and love in a world that hadn't always offered it freely. A search that could have been the reason Devonye had multiple babies from broken relationships. In fact, in 2019, when Devonye was only 13 years old, she met the father of her first child through a mutual friend. For the sake of this story, let's call him Matthew. Devonye and Matthew connected instantly and quickly fell for each other, and within a few months, their relationship took a serious turn. Devonye discovered she was pregnant. Not long after, in October 2019, the young couple would welcome a beautiful baby girl named Ayani Janae Cummings. At just 13, Devonye was still a child herself, navigating middle school and finding her own identity. She could barely care for herself, let alone a newborn. Suddenly, she was thrust into the overwhelming role of being a mother, with little guidance or support. The emotional and physical toll was heavy. But as much as a child can sometimes bring two people closer together, that wasn't the case for Devonye and Matthew. Their relationship began to shift under the weight of young parenthood, and the cracks quickly became impossible to ignore. Devonye was pushed to grow up far too fast and forced into adulthood before she ever had a chance to enjoy being a kid. The companionship and security she had been craving simply wasn't there. Instead, she found herself alone, navigating sleepless nights and heavy emotions, all the while caring for a baby who needed her every moment of the day. According to Devonye, her daughter became the reason she kept going. In quiet moments, she posted cryptic messages about feeling overwhelmed, about running away, disappearing, or just needing a break. Though her relationship with Matthew eventually ended, he remained involved in their daughter's life. That consistency mattered. But not long after the breakup, Devonye began seeing someone new. Someone she believed was everything Matthew wasn't, or so she thought. When Devonye was 16, she met who would become the father of her second baby, popularly known as Banga BBMG on his social media. Banga was a different energy entirely from her first. Unlike Matthew, Banga initially appeared more present, more attentive. He seemed like the kind of boyfriend who showed up, not just for Devonye, but for their growing little family. But it wasn't long before the chaos followed. Behind the seemingly picture-perfect posts was a messy web of Instagram beefs, cryptic captions, and drama with other baby mamas.
Hey baby, you still by your girl? Hey baby, you still by your...
Banga came with a history and a fan base of exes who weren't exactly quiet. Devonye, young and bold, didn't back down. She openly clapped back with other women online, defending her relationship with her man. Despite the tension, Devonye got pregnant again, and in June 2022, at just 16, she gave birth to her second child, a baby girl named Miracle Janae Cummings. The name was fitting. Miracle was her light during a dark chapter, but just as it seemed life might be stabilizing for Devonye, tragedy would strike. In June 2023, Devonye's second child's father passed away unexpectedly. Despite all the online backlash and messy social media drama that once surrounded their relationship, his death hit her hard. She mourned him deeply, showing a side of her that many had underestimated. For someone often labeled as heartless by strangers online, her actions spoke volumes. She even vowed to look after his other children, proving she had far more heart than the internet ever gave her credit for. Still, grief didn't change her reality. Devonye was just 17 years old, a teenage mother raising 2 children with little support and no safety net. She was navigating a system that had failed her from the start, facing motherhood in a world that offered her few breaks and fewer second chances. Life had been anything but easy, but Devonye met every challenge with quiet strength and remarkable grace. Though she was still just a child in many ways, she carried the weight of adulthood with determination. Raising 2 children wasn't easy, but Devonye was the kind of mother who gave everything she had, even when it felt like she had nothing left to give. She worked tirelessly, juggling between jobs, anything to make sure her babies never went without. Whether it meant staying up through the night or waking before the sun, she remained unwavering in her commitment to creating a life for her children that was filled with love, warmth, and stability, something she never had herself. Her resilience wasn't just about surviving. It was about rewriting the future. Devonye held onto hope like it was sacred. She believed in love, in hard work, and in the idea that better days were ahead. Her biggest dream was simple but powerful: to watch her children grow into joyful, successful individuals with every opportunity she never had. However, despite the outward appearance of a happy mother, Devonye was craving something more. It didn't take her long to start dating someone new, a man who would change her life in ways she never could have imagined. Devonye started seeing another man, who turns out to be 34-year-old Terrence Miles. Even though Terrence was twice her age, Devonye saw something in their relationship that sparked hope for a better future. She believed that this could be a new, positive chapter in her life, one that offered stability and potential. Despite the challenges she had faced, Devonye clung to the idea that love and connection could bring the stability and peace she had longed for. But it wouldn't be long before that would be shattered. Terrence had a violent past, one that should have been enough to raise alarms. He had committed 5 serious crimes, together with assault with a lethal weapon, each one showing just how capable he was of causing harm. But despite the warning signs, Devonye allowed Terrence to stay in her life. Perhaps it was because she felt she needed him, or maybe it was out of fear of being alone. Even with his violent past, Devonye might have held on to the hope that he could change, but over time, the truth became undeniable. Just like in her past relationships, Devonye found herself pregnant once again, this time by Terrence. The news was exciting for her, much like it had been with her previous pregnancies. Each time she learned she was expecting, there was a mix of joy and anticipation, and this time was no different. Despite the challenges she'd faced before, She embraced the pregnancy with a sense of hope and excitement for the new life growing inside her. But a few months later, nothing could have prepared her for what would follow next. In August, Devonye tragically lost the pregnancy, a heart-wrenching blow that left her with grief and a sense of loss. The emotional toll weighed heavily on her, but she found a way to brush it off. And just when it seemed like her world had been shattered, a ray of hope appeared. In September, she discovered she was pregnant again, but this time with twins. This pregnancy was different. Unlike her previous posts filled with trolling or cryptic messages, Devonye shared this one in a completely new light.
Losing my baby boy in May, God blessed me and my husband with twin girls.
Her followers saw something beautiful unfold. She posted updates filled with joy, humor, and love. For once, her posts radiated positivity as she embraced the idea of motherhood with a renewed sense of hope and determination. It seemed as though, despite everything, she was finding happiness once again. Her journey was far from easy, but in those moments, for Devonye, this pregnancy wasn't just another challenge. It was a new beginning, or so she thought. Devonye's life took on a new chapter with the birth of her twin daughters on February 21st, 2025, through a C-section. They were the best gift a mother could ask for, filling her heart with love and hope. Despite the struggles she had faced, these two little lives brought an overwhelming sense of joy and purpose. The twins became her guiding lights, fueling her determination to create a brighter future for them. But there was a problem. Terrence was not the person who could bring anything positive into Devonye's life. Rather than being the supportive partner she had hoped for, he became a constant source of pain. His violent past wasn't something that could be easily forgotten, and as his actions unfolded, it became clear that he was a dangerous person to be around. Devonye continued to let him be in her life, perhaps believing against her better judgment that things could somehow get better. For someone like Devonye, who was still very young at 19 and already had several children to care for, having a man like Terrence in her life should have been a warning sign. However, that was until the most tragic thing would end up happening. On March 2nd, just 11 days after giving birth at 8 a.m., Devonye got up like any normal day. She fed her twins, then posted a photo of them sleeping peacefully and sent a text to her cousin that read simply, "I'll call you later today, need to talk." But that call would never come. Terrence and Devonye got into a heated argument. While the exact cause of the dispute remains unknown, things quickly escalated when Terrence grabbed a gun and shot Devonye in the neck. But it wasn't just the shooting that shocked everyone. It was what he did next that left everyone stunned. Instead of calling 911 immediately for medical help for the mother of his children, Terrence, allegedly, called his mother in a panic, saying, "Mom, help, I shot her. I didn't mean to." His mother, frantic and trying to make sense of the situation, struggled to calm him down. He claimed the shooting was an accident, that the gun had discharged while he was checking it. After several minutes of trying, she finally decided to call 911, informing the authorities that she had just received a disturbing phone call from her son. The police were immediately dispatched to the address she gave, and soon, the police arrived. They found the most heartbreaking scene. When the police arrived at the apartment on the 2600 block of 74th Avenue, they found Terrence sitting in the living room with the twins. He directed them to the bedroom where Devonye lay motionless. At the scene of the crime, paramedics confirmed that 19-year-old Devonye Cummings was dead at the scene. In addition to the tragic scene, authorities seized a Glock pistol from a bedroom dresser that Terrence was prohibited from possessing as a convicted felon. Officers immediately noted several inconsistencies in Terrence's account of what happened. They found that the angle of the wound was inconsistent with an accidental discharge during gun handling. There were also no powder burns on Terrence's skin, suggesting the shot was fired from at least several feet away rather than up close. Then, the most damning of evidence was revealed. During a close inspection of the weapon, it was partially wiped clean of any fingerprints. Terrence had taken the time to clean the gun, but not to call for medical help. 32-year-old Terrence Miles was arrested at the scene and charged with murder, along with charges of domestic violence and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Terrence maintained his story about an accident, and he showed little visible emotion as officers placed him in handcuffs and read him his rights. Fortunately, the twins were found unharmed in their bassinet in the living room. just feet away from the scene of the tragedy, completely unaware that they were now motherless. Devonya's other 2 children were not home at the time. A family friend had picked them up the day before for a weekend visit, sparing them from witnessing the devastating aftermath. During the investigation, neighbors would recount Terrence Miles' behavior during the 11 days after the twins' birth. They reported a steady stream of arguments in the apartment, with Terrence's voice often overshadowing Devonya's. One witness allegedly even told police she heard him shout, "You had kids before, why are you acting helpless now?" Just 2 days before the fatal shooting. It seems the demands of caring for newborn twins and Devonya's own recovery from surgery were pushing Terrence into a dark mood. But the most unsettling revelation came from Devonya's phone records. In the 48 hours before her death, she had searched online for women's shelters in Oakland and how to leave safely with children. She'd also texted a distant cousin asking if she and her kids could stay with her, just for a little while, until Devonye could figure things out. Those searches and messages spoke of a mother searching desperately for a way out of a situation she feared was becoming dangerous. 32-year-old Terrence Miles is currently being held at Santa Rita Jail in Dublin, California. He is scheduled to appear in court on April 1st to enter a plea, though he has not yet appeared in courts. He remains behind bars without bail. Devonya's life ended the same way it had been shaped, surrounded by dysfunction, abandoned by the systems meant to protect her, and failed by the people she trusted. At just 19 years old with 4 children, some might call her decisions reckless, but the truth is far harsher. She was a girl raised in chaos, trapped in a cycle she didn't know how to break. Now here we are, at the bitter and senseless end of a life that barely had a chance to begin. Despite everything, Devonye never gave up. She kept pushing forward, doing everything she could to take care of her children, but in her search for support, she made the painful decision to stay in a toxic relationship with Terrence. The fear of being alone, coupled with the hope that things might improve, led her to make choices that would ultimately result in tragedy. The 4 children, oblivious to the tragedy that had just altered the course of their lives, were gently taken into protective custody. In the days that followed, they were placed with Devonya's extended family, loved ones who stepped in to provide the care, comfort, and stability their mother had fought so hard to give them. Though too young to understand the gravity of their loss, they remain a living piece of Devonya's legacy, surrounded now by the hope she always carried in her heart. The heartbreaking case of Devonye Cummings stands as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of violence, failed systems, and the absence of support and guidance when it's needed most. Her story reflects the reality of too many young women navigating trauma, motherhood, and survival without the resources of protection they deserve. Let me know what you think